This is the Anker Powerhouse II 400. This portable power station has all the outputs you need for a road trip or camping. Thank you to Anker for providing this product for me to review, but as always, all opinions are my own. Let's start with the specs. The Powerhouse II 400 has 108,000 milliamps of battery cells. It is rated for a capacity of 388.8 watt-hours. All this is in a package that is 10 by 5.8 by 5.5 inches, and it only weighs 10.2 pounds. The listed operating temperature is 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. All the outputs and the screen are on one side of the power station. Covered by a flap is a AC output providing up to 300 watts. Anker advertises this as a pure sine wave 110 volt outlet. There's obviously no real ground, but there is an empty space for the ground prong, so you can use 3-pronged items. Behind the other flap is the DC car socket, as well as two 5.5mm DC jacks. These share a max output of 120 watts. In the center is Anker's bread and butter USB outputs. There are 3 USB-A ports branded with Anker's Power IQ, which means each port provides a variable amount of power depending on the device. These ports share a 36 watt max output. Each port maxes out at 5 volts, 2.4 amps for a total of 12 watts. So, unlike some previous Anker multi-port chargers I've reviewed, all 3 ports will be able to hit their max output concurrently. The Power IQ 3 USB-C port plays double duty as an output and an input, going up to 60 watts each way. This is a really nice feature, as you could use your existing laptop charger to charge the power station, instead of hauling the large included charger around. Next to that is a barrel plug DC input for the provided 65 watt charger, or for a solar panel if you have one. It supports MPPT for solar charging. One really cool feature is that you could charge with both the DC input and power delivery USB-C simultaneously for faster charging. Each output can be controlled by one of the 3 corresponding circular buttons. Above these buttons is the display. The display tells you your remaining battery life as well as the current input and output. The input shows you the wattage coming in as well as the estimated time to a full charge. The output shows the combined output from the AC, DC, and USB outputs. Below that, it indicates the estimated battery life of the powerhouse if the current load continues. This is much more informative than just guessing based on the percentage. The display also notes when you are running 50 or 60 Hz mode, or if the battery is too hot or too cold to run. Both the shorter sides of the power station have a cool black and blue vented design. I'm not sure if the vents are functional to help the battery keep cool, but I didn't notice any excess surface temperatures in use. On the opposite side of the outputs is a cool ambient light. This gives off 3 levels of warm light from low to high. On the last short side is the flashlight, which has a low and high beam, as well as the SOS mode that blinks SOS in Morse code. These 2 light features are definitely an added plus when camping. On the top side, we have a sturdy, soft touch carrying handle. It's a bummer that this handle doesn't fold down for compact storage. So since I was testing this in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, I wasn't able to go on any road or camping trips. I thought a more appropriate real-life test in the time of remote working was to see if I could work an entire day outside using the Powerhouse II. So I took my picnic blanket and my cat and set up the Powerhouse II 400. I can successfully say I was able to complete an 8-hour workday off the battery. Working in IT, I have 2 main computers, a 2020 MacBook Air and an older Dell Latitude 7480. Charging the MacBook Air via USB-C power delivery from 10% while actively using it took 18% of the power station. The Dell is much older and its battery does not last as long, but I charged it up from 10% using only 12% of the power station's capacity. Lastly, I had my phone plugged in to maintain charge while I was running a hotspot, and I ended the day with 63% left on the power station. I completed my usual battery of tests in a more controlled environment, using my trusty kilowatt and USB testers. I was able to verify Anker's claims of USB output performance. The reported output on the display differed slightly from measurements taken from my USB meters and from the charging devices. This is within an acceptable margin of error, and I imagine there is some phantom power draw from the display and the electronics controlling the output. When you plug in a new device to the Powerhouse II, there is no interruption to the devices already being charged. This is important for devices that you don't want interrupted, like a USB security camera. This contrasts with some RAV power products that I am working on testing for the channel. By the way, please like and subscribe to see more content in the future. I know I don't release content regularly, but I really do like making these. I stress test the device by charging a combination of old and new MacBook Airs, a 15-inch MacBook Pro, Dell Latitudes via both power delivery and AC charging, an iPad, a bunch of battery banks, and my phone. The Powerhouse did not sweat one bit. You could charge even more if you plugged in a DC car charger with even more USB ports. However, I did find one oddity in my testing. When I plugged in a Vornado fan to the AC outlet, the fan made a strange buffeting noise that did not happen when plugged directly into the wall. Take a listen. I am not sure if this is because of the 110 volts coming from Anker's outlet versus the 120 volts standard in US homes, or an issue with the sine wave output. This is weird because Anker advertises fans as a use case on the product page. I did later test the tower style fan, which didn't have any issues, so your mileage may vary. I have been testing and using the Powerhouse II 400 extensively over the past 2 weeks, and have had a great experience so far. Besides working outside a couple of times, I've also used it on a couple of used PC part purchases. I've been able to test computers that I buy on Facebook Marketplace by plugging them into the power station. Even powerful gaming PCs don't typically draw more than 300 watts on idle or boot. This way I can make sure the parts I get are working. Overall, this product has my recommendation. Its positioning is interesting though, offering nearly 400 watt hours, while the competition usually offers 300 or 500 watt hours. Looking at power stations that also offer USB power delivery, the closest competition is the Jackery Explorer 300 for $350 and the Goal Zero Yeti 500X at $699. The Jackery offers less USB ports at a lower capacity, but also has one more AC outlet. It has a 60 watt power delivery for output only, but can't be charged via power delivery. The Goal Zero has more capacity, a second AC port, a power delivery port for both input and output, and an additional 18 watt USB-C port, but it does cost a lot more. So the Anker Power Station II 400 is quite competitive at $399 on Amazon. At the time of this video, there's also a $60 clippable coupon. But I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll try to answer any questions you have in the comments. Please consider subscribing if you like these videos and want to see more. Thank you.